No, it's 15 minutes, so, okay. Yep. Okay, I'm going to, in doing drawing, got a few bit of time, so I'm going to start carrying the point a little bit farther in terms of what we're talking about. And a lot of times what you have to do is you have to emphasize things. Okay, let's show you let's put my pencil where my mouth is. Yep. Now, proportion-wise, when I take a little bit longer, I think the torso is basically 4 heads.
4 heads.
And so from there, I can take and judge where, so I get a target. Well, coming through. Okay, the distance from the pit of the neck to the top of the head is equal to the bottom of the rib cage. Sternum is halfway. And later on we'll talk more about this, but this is a beginning point. Now, she's actually pushing her chest out. And so this is really this is the gesture, but if you look at the shape, it's not much happening. It's pretty simple. Okay, so now I want to go from here, corner pelvis, coming across, through, drawing the pelvis, leg, over.
How do you figure legs and length?
I'm sorry?
Legs and length, how long they are? I mean,
From the pubic arch to the bottom is equal, it's half the way, basically. Trochanter, the trochanter is halfway. At the bottom of the knee is a quarter. Through. Okay, now this is the important to, as you're working now, is to focus on the actual structure. You can feel the clavicle, and drawing that clavicle now, actually being conscious of the actual bone, that the shape of the clavicle is a S curve. So you're actually drawing, so I'm drawing this, and as you look at the model, then you can see that we have the corner right here. From that point on, the clavicle is going straight back in, and then it's turning, going over to here. Okay, so the same thing here now. As I look on the other side, it's a little bit clearer, but the tendency, and this is a common mistake that people tend to make, is they drawing that clavicle, they tend to draw it as a straight line, but it's not. There's a corner here. This goes in. In other words, it goes back, and then it's turning and coming over to here. And then we feel the scapula coming from the back, and since she's got her arm going back, this is tilted. Okay. The arm is going back as a cylinder going back in. Down. Actually, the angle is going to be a bit stronger. Through. Now, when I was talking about trying to emphasize things, you want to feel that rib cage is pushing out. So, then coming through, and I'm thinking of the sternum here. As I come in, draw that rib cage here. I want to make this a bit stronger. I want to push that so we can actually feel thing pulling out, so that we can stretch. I'm feeling coming through, feeling the stretching coming down, navel. We want to feel this pull. The muscles are pulling from the thoracic arch, and we feel this is pushing out, and we go pulling back down to the pubic arch. So you're working with the dynamics so that the line, so even helping that gesture. So I would take and come in and I would emphasize these lines, then the diagonal that I start creating that takes in. This is helping us pull across. So then I can take and really start to push out. I haven't done it near enough of getting the pelvis, hips going out. So now I want to emphasize going over, feel the corners, looking for the corners of the bone. And we can try to think about how the muscles, this would be the gluteus medius in here, and then how we start to feel with the pushing of the trochanter. And it's very, when you're looking at the model, it's very easy to just sit there and think about, oh yeah, it goes like that. But it's not what's happening. So what's actually going on here is you're seeing from here, you focus on this, but behind that is the buttocks. So this is an overlapping line that's coming in front. And so this is, you can feel this whole pad. This is essentially, now she's not fat by any means, but this is a fat pad that's coming through. And so we get this behind. Now that right away gives us more of a sense of 3 dimension. You're dealing with the overlapping of the forms. So as we come through, and we're thinking of the corner, this would be like where the tensor muscle comes across. So as I'm drawing now, I've taken what we've been talking about another step farther in terms of starting to add things. So like here I was talking about the overlapping. Well, as I come through, I'm feeling the stretch. Well, that's first of all, we need to feel the pelvis down here, behind its corner. The stomach, your rectus abdominis muscles are stretching down, going through, and we feel behind that we feel the external oblique pushing up. So we're dealing with a lot of corners now, but it's still essentially focusing on three-dimensional forms. So as we take, let's just carry this in how we can see this from the part that, okay, going back here, we're feeling the twisting. The line itself, see, is taking and showing the twist. So this is a big part of the whole designing of the drawing. Now, looking at the shoulder, and this is the part where you really need to start developing your understanding of the anatomy, is that this shape, see, the clavicle is taking and going from here, it turns, goes in, and then it turns and goes back. So each of these corners is an important point in that from here is where your pectoralis muscle comes off the clavicle. In here is where the deltoid comes out. So these are elements, so you're feeling this, but she's stretching, going, see, she's going back, the arm is going back, so you're feeling this stretching going over. The deltoid is going all the way back to this point and here. And the bump that you're seeing right there is the charoid process coming from underneath, which is part of the scapula. Now I can see I've got this the scapula too far over. Now as I come through, so you're drawing then, you're thinking of this is a corner that is taking and coming around. We can feel the bump there. That's scapula clavicle. Then it's becoming around that corner. So we're pulling through. Now, you're going back in. So you're constantly thinking about this simple structure. So as I draw this, I think of the deltoid as pulling down and fitting in. And coming through. Okay, feel this is going underneath. The pectoralis muscles go over the biceps and under the deltoid. Okay, triceps behind. Now, I don't want to make her too muscular. That's one of the problems when you're dealing with anatomy. It's tend to turn everybody into a weightlifter. Okay. But now, that's just taken what the whole point of this thing is to show the action. I'm looking at this now. I said, well, it's not. I've lost a little of the action talking about it. So here's where now I would need to take and orchestrate lines. In other words, I want to feel what this is. So I would take and come in now and start to push lines that are going to take and show this action. Well, feel this coming over a bit more, and I would take and emphasize now. I want to emphasize the fact that there is a bit of twisting. Feel the tension coming through, and we start to build stuff coming over. So now, there's another way of doing this. I can take in what I'm doing here now is I want to take and emphasize. Now I can adding color. So I can take and I want to make your eye go from here to here. So as I'm doing this now, I can take and starting actually way back up here. I can take and come through. I'm changing the direction. I can come through and make the eye. I want the eye to go over here. So just by emphasize, we're making the eye travel from one side to the other. And the changing of color gives me another value range to take and work with. Yeah. Okay, this is really good pose to be analyzing the way the rib cage fits into the pelvis and the way the turning that she's getting going here. So let's take and I'm going to feel the pull through. Now I'm going back. Really feeling the way the shoulder is coming forward, and then the arm is coming down and going back up, fitting in the whole tilt stuff with the leg from the other side coming across, through, going underneath. Now it's pretty much parallel, but it's still slightly coming towards us. This is really coming across towards us more, through the other arm, going back here. Now, I start to break this down. I want to take and thinking of spend a little bit of time here blocking in the head because it's get the idea, the corner of the eye socket, cheekbone, come down to where the masseter muscles are, the nose. That's a very simple statement right there. Now, feel coming from underneath, you feel the thyroid cartilage, and then the sternocleidomastoid coming in front. I want to think of right here is the back of the rib cage. Okay. Now, so I'm drawing through, coming down, visualizing this whole volume. Now, you have to keep in mind that the rib cage actually has a double curve to it inside as it goes through and comes up, it goes around. So we can feel the scapula pushing out. This is coming down. Now, I want to feel the pelvis is really going back and coming across at an angle through in here. Going through, in, and going over that surface, over. That gives a volume, going from one side to the other, going over, through. Now, I want to focus on this section here now. So, okay, we got the scapula is coming across here. And we can feel real clearly how this is dropping. This proportion from here to here is equal to this, and that's equal to the coming halfway to the bottom of the rib cage. Now, clavicle, we can see this here. Now, this is an area that generally gives people the most difficulty, is the distance between here and here. Now, keep in mind now that the neck is a cylinder, and it's back here. But we have to show now this distance. So as this goes back in, we're having the trapezius muscle. This is a cylinder going back through. That's giving us the distance as we go through. And so you can see the clavicle is right here. This goes through, goes in. I need to give a little bit more play to the sternocleidomastoid here. Okay, scapula, the flatness across here. And so this is a plane across the top here. Remember that you have the blade of the scapula is not the same as the angle of the ridge of the scapula. So we feel this is sticking out. So you're building on top, we can feel the scapula coming down. Now, see that that arm is going in. Now I'm really breaking this down. You got a corner here. You got a corner, the deltoid is pulling all the way from the back of the scapula through here. It's going down. This is your infraspinatus muscle in here. And then the teres major underneath. And your triceps pulling through, going down to here. But you're building, you have to visualize, these are corners. This is a plane that's going down. This is a plane, and this is what you'll be dealing with your painting. So now, going back in and really feeling that she's turned, but we have to focus on the corner of the rib cage that's really pushing out right here. And we can see the roundness of this rib cage as we're going through. You're getting the latissimus is pulling from in here. The breasts are sitting on top. Even a bit of the pecs up there. Okay, now, to make this really, we got to pull the stuff around the corner. So we've got this stuff happening right here. So now, as we're drawing this, we can take and start to feel these forms coming forward. And so this is the dropping, we're coming from behind. And then we're taking and pulling from behind. And we're going over that surface. Pressure that against the leg. And so you're dealing with a series of different kinds of overlapping spherical forms. So now as we're coming down, so now we need to see the pressure being pushed against the pelvis now that is going up. So as we this thinking of this volume now, so as I'm coming through, and this is still going back to the idea that we've started out with, is the idea everything is a section of a sphere. You're building up. Here you can feel the pull, and here it would be the tensor muscle coming across, and coming through. So you want to feel this pressure. If you're constantly building these volumes, overlapping volumes, and in here I would even make this a bit stronger of feeling weight. I would tend to maybe try to flatten this a little bit here. Feel this coming out in front, coming through. Okay, so now, as we come across, feel the pinching, feel the volume. It's coming through, the overlapping as we're going through. Now, you have part of it up here. We've got to get that other shoulder, other arm pushing back. So this is part of the reason that we're feeling the tension. In other words, she's taking and turning this way. So we need to feel the scapula on the other side is pushing out. You feel the rib cage going in between, and you start to feel this. Now, here, what you're seeing is part of this is the infraspinatus. Then we feel this tension going back in, and we got the hair in the way, so we can't really see that now. Through. The arm going back. The twisting that she's giving into that arm is sort of pretty cool. You want to feel the pull across. The ulna is in here, and this is the ulna here. The radius is on the other side. So you're getting the twist. And then the hand. So now, to get all this stuff working over, feeling the pull, going around, feeling the pull, going over. Okay. And this now, here we get the knee. What you're seeing there is actually not the end of the femur, but the patella. The actual femur is over here. Here's actually the condyle coming through at this point. So what you're getting is coming through, and here you want to feel this pulling around in front to get that for a sense of foreshortening that's taking place. And this is going through, going underneath, feeling this stuff overlapping as it comes through. This now is going behind. You want to feel clear overlap as you're doing the drawing. Now I've got the head here being sort of pretty yucky. I need to take and go back over. Get a bit more of a feeling for what she looks like. Through. Now here, as I do this whole part of this twisting thing that's going on, start coming through. Me out from underneath, come through. So you can feel these back here, these would be rhomboid muscles coming through. And here you're feeling this is the trapezius coming off of this scapula in here. You can feel the tension. And we can take and push this a bit more. You can feel that she's twisting here. It's coming from the back of the skull, coming over, through. And even though I can't see it, it's got to be doing something like that. And through. Feel the underside of the jaw, thyroid cartilage, sternocleidomastoid overlapping. This is coming from behind the ear. Okay. Now, as I go through here, I would be focusing on the cheek, goes off at a diagonal ear to the muzzle coming through. Yeah. But you can see I'm concentrating, and I would probably come through and start to even do more, start working around the corner. Okay.
I gotcha.
So by this time, I think you've gotten the whole metamorphosis of a different way to draw.
Yeah, I've got about 3 years.
Generally, I've made it more difficult.
Yeah.